for Latinx Heritage Month, the Latina Music Panel. My name is Dr. Phyllis Barragan Getz, and I'm an assistant professor of history here at Texas A&M San Antonio, and I'm going to be introducing all of our distinguished guests today. So the first person I'd like to introduce, and by the way, I'm going to introduce all of them right now, and then they will come up and perform. I'm going to introduce them in the order in which they will be performing. And then following the performances, don't leave. We're going to have time for a short discussion where each of the musicians is going to be able to speak about her experience as a Latina in the music industry. And hopefully that'll be a really great discussion. So our first performer is Tish Hinojosa. Tish Hinojosa is a singer-songwriter from San Antonio and from Austin, Texas. She is recorded as an independent artist as well as for A&M, Warner Brothers, and Rounder Records. She has performed on Austin City Limits, Good Morning America, A Prairie Home Companion, and at the White House at the invitation of President and First Lady Clinton. She has also collaborated with artists such as Joan Baez, Booker T. Jones, Flaco Jimenez, Pete Seeger, and Dwight Yoakam. In the mid-1990s, Hinojosa took a 4-year hiatus from recording and focused on her social interests, including work with bilingual education, immigration, and migrant farm workers' rights. She served as a spokesperson for both the National Latino Children's Agenda and the National Association of Bilingual Education, and was active with the United Farm Workers of America. With 17 CDs to her name, Tish's distinct sound has gained her much critical acclaim. Tish has toured extensively throughout the United States and Europe and continues to draw a loyal and growing audience. Her most recent album is called West, which she released earlier this year. Our next performer is Lourdes Perez. Puerto Rican-born composer, poet, decimista, oral historian, vocalist, and guitarist, Lourdes Perez is known for her spine-rattling contralto voice, and you'll hear momentarily what we mean by that. She's also known for her ability to write emotionally rich songs about people, places, history, and ideals. Named one of the finest Latin American vocalists and songwriters, Perez has performed internationally from war zones to performing arts centers and has collaborated with diverse artists across language and genre for the last 26 years. In Canada, critics dubbed her the Edith Piaf of the Spanish language. When she began touring in the early 1990s, she was one of the very few out Latina lesbians and insisted on occupying spaces between worlds that didn't often overlap or include people like her. In 2006, she was one of the first 5 composers and the only woman to be awarded the unrestricted United States Artist Fellowship for Music. Published works include 11 CDs, scores and soundtracks for dance, theater, and film, and 2 illustrated oral history books with original music CDs. Her most recent project is called Still Here, Homenaje al West Side de San Antonio, which will be released this fall. And I believe the release party for that's going to be November 11th, right, at the Esperanza Center. Our third performer is Shelly Lares. In 1989, Shelly Lares signed her first record deal with San Antonio-based Manny Records and released numerous hit albums. In 1995, Shelly signed with Sony Discos, where she produced 5 CDs and toured extensively across the United States until signing with Tejas Records in 2000. Today, Shelly Lares continues to record and tour the world, and over the years, she has recorded with and performed on the same stage with Vince Gill and rockabilly legend Carl Perkins. Since 1984, Shelly Lares has been nominated for an award every consecutive year at the annual Tejano Music Awards. Award categories for which she was nominated include Female Entertainer of the Year, Female Vocalist of the Year, Song of the Year, Single of the Year, Vocal Duo of the Year, Album of the Year, and Tejano Country Song of the Year. Additionally, Shelley received a Grammy nomination in 2006 for her work with the Latin supergroup Las Three Divas. The Latin Music Awards has also given her the nod, as well as the Pura Vida Music Awards. Shelley was inducted into the Tejano Hall of Fame in 2008, making her the youngest member of that Hall of Fame to date. Now embarking on yet another venture, Shelley Lares has taken the role of CEO of her own record label, called Shell Shock Records 3. There are future plans to sign and mentor new and upcoming artists under that label. And our final performer is Amalia Ortiz. Tejana poet and playwright Amalia Ortiz appeared on 3 seasons of Russell Simmons Presents Deaf Poetry on HBO. NBC Latino named her book of poetry, Rant, Chant, Chisme, it's the name of her book of poetry, one of the, quote, 10 great Latino books of 2015. It was awarded the 2015 Writers League of Texas Poetry Discovery Prize. Amalia was chosen to speak at TEDx McAllen 2015. She was awarded the Alfredo Cisneros del Moral Foundation grant and a writing residency at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. She is a Canto Mundo Fellow and a Hedgebrook Writer-in-Residence alumna. She was the inaugural Performing Artist in Residence at ArtPace in 2018. Amalia received her MFA in Creative Writing from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. She is the Theater Arts Director at SAC. She has written 2 musicals, and today she will be performing music from her punk musical called the Canción Cannibal Cabaret, which will be published as her 2nd book. And just to let you guys know, all of these artists today will be selling their CDs and books for those of you interested in the foyer after the show. So let's go ahead and give them a round of applause.
Okay, let me get plugged in here. I'm very excited to be here today. I've been looking forward to this show tonight. Reunions with old friends. There we go. I'm going to start with a song off my record, Aquella Noche, back from 1991. And being that we're kind of a woman-strong show tonight, I want to kind of share songs with you that I've written over the years that have been inspired by women in my life. This one inspired by the painter Frida Kahlo. This is called Manos, Huesos y Sangre, Hands, Bones, and Blood. Manos y huesos y sangre se irán, pero el corazón no muere. Miles palabras en quieto pincel, dueña y esclava de dos. Ojos que sirven de espejo, pasión y dolor y placer. Cara y disfraz que aparecen, esos fracasos de ayer. Madre de sueños, ¿y quién te dirá? Cada mujer sueña igual. Águila inquieta, cadenas caerán. Frida es tu descanso en paz. Crumbling hands, bones, and blood will be gone. Something in our heart lives forever. Thousand words painted by love's broken stroke. Master and slave, you were both. Eyes serving as our own mirror of passion human face of a story, bearing that yesterday's stain. Mother of dreams, who could dare to predict women would dream by you and restless the eagle, still chained by the wing. Frida, are you sleeping in peace? Manos y huesos y sangre se irán, pero el corazón no muere. Thank you very much. Well, I know it's going to be kind of a leap of cultures here, but I'm going to do a Western swing song next. Because this is also inspired by a woman. This one, interestingly, is a response to a Bob Wills song. And Bob Wills talks about San Antonio Rose. And I figure I'm in San Antonio, and here's a response that I wrote. This is Rose's side of the story. This song's called San Antonio Romeo. Down where the winding river runs by the Alamo, a certain senorita parted from her bow. One broken-hearted cowboy sang a sad refrain, calling to the moon to bring her to his arms again. Years have passed, the moonlit path where Rosie said goodbye. Every parting has a reason why. Was it that her another boat couldn't tell a cowgirl no, and she didn't want to wait in line? San Antonio, Romeo, cowboy angels love to watch him ride. Steal the show, loves your rodeo. Where's my San Antonio Romeo? It ain't cool to make a rain or settle down. When I hear that Rosie's coming back to town. Blue Jean Valentino, would you stay around? Walk along the river once again. San Antonio, Romeo, cowboy angels love to watch him ride. Steal the show, loves your rodeo. Where's my San Antonio Romeo? It ain't cool to make a rain or settle down. Well, I hear that Rosie's coming back to town. Blue Jean Valentino, would you stay around? Walk along the river once again. San Antonio, Romeo, cowboy angels love to watch him ride. Steal the show, loves your rodeo. Where's my San Antonio Romeo? Where's my San Antonio Romeo? Okay, that's nice. Thank you very much. Thanks. So this next song is kind of an anomaly of my songs. This is my most famous song. I want to say in the world, but kind of in the world. This is a song from my record Homeland that came out in 1989. That was kind of the record that sort of kicked off my career. And this one song, 3 songs actually, called the Border Trilogy. A song about my family, and songs about crossing the border, and about stories of true stories of people I knew whose experiences inspired me to write. And anyway, this one song about the border crossing became a hit song in Korea. Usually people laugh at that point, because it is kind of funny. So I had no idea my record had been released. It was released internationally, but I didn't realize that it was. So the Koreans used it, South Korean, of course. It was used as a theme song for a TV drama, and so anyway, it was kind of a big thing over there. And so we just kind of did a return to Korea about a month ago, and it was really quite amazing to see how this song still rings true with the South Koreans, and I really appreciate that. So this song is called Where I Go, Donde Voy.
Madrugada me ve corriendo bajo cielo que empieza a color. No salga sol a nombrarme a la fuerza de la migración. Un dolor que siento en el pecho es mi alma que hiere de amor. Pienso en ti y tus brazos que esperan, tus besos y tu pasión. ¿Dónde voy? ¿A dónde voy? Esperanza es mi destinación. Solo estoy por el monte prófugo voy. Días, semanas y meses pasan muy lejos de ti. Muy pronto te llegará dinero. Yo te quiero tener junto a mí. El trabajo me llena las horas. Tu risa no puedo olvidar. Vivir sin tu amor no es vida. Vivir de prófugo es igual. ¿Dónde voy? ¿A dónde voy? Esperanza es mi destinación. Solo estoy por el monte prófugo voy. ¿Dónde voy? ¿Dónde voy? Esperanza es mi destinación. Solo estoy por el monte prófugo voy.
Well, I'm super excited about hearing everyone tonight, Lourdes and Shelley and Amalia, and I can't wait. So I'm going to play one more song for you all, and then I'll get my Austin butt off the stage. So here is a song about my San Antonio. This is my hometown, and my parents, this is kind of their story of how they met and how they raised 13 kids together and gave us a great life. And so, again, I have to say my parents, my father included, but my mom was truly inspirational in how she had, how she did it all. And Dad, of course, would sit on the front porch and drink his pearl beer and his cigarette and just stay out of the girls' way. We were 11 girls and 2 boys in our family. So here we go. He worked hard for us, though. So this is the west side of town.
Felipe was a young boy when he crossed the Rio Grande. Heading north
thank you all very much. Great to be here. And I'd like to invite my good friend Lourdes Perez up here to the stage to continue with her set. Thank you. We need the chair. Now, this was my request of Lourdes. Lourdes just recorded a beautiful record about San Antonio's West Side, and there's a song that I sang along with her. And
Tish,
I asked her if I could sing it with her tonight.
it's
That's
so
a sneak preview. I wasn't real sure when the record's actually coming out, but you're going to get a really nice sneak preview here.
hello. Let me see if I get some microphone. Perfect.
Let's see. So while we're getting Lourdes set up, I'm a little bit croaky today. I don't know if you could tell when I was singing, but I spent all day yesterday, and I really have great admiration for teachers because I spent all day at an elementary school teaching kids from kinder through 6th grade all about like songwriting and telling them stories, and I just wore my voice out all day long. Like, and kids are so funny, the questions they ask and what they want to know, and they all want to come and hug and kiss me and ask me, are you married? Are you famous? Are you rich? Those are the three most important questions.
We started the panel.
So maybe we can start the panel that way tonight.
Thank you so much, Tish. It is, in fact, a beautiful gathering. Thank you for the invitation, Phyllis and the school. Thank you so much. It is not often that we get a chance to be together and share our trajectories and see each other. Because being on the road, we don't see each other a lot. So for this song, we're going to do Esparra de la Libertad, and it is an honor that Tish is in this song. We're doing a book and CD that's coming out November 11th, and Parra de la Libertad is based on the story of one of the elders who's 97, and this is her reminiscing of her young years. Parra de la Libertad. Yes.
Arco de las uvas, fuiste mi trasfondo, tiempo de la infancia, la calle Torreón, jugando a enfermera, trompos y canicas, corriendo al mandado, tiempo de ilusión. Dime, para la libertad, háblame con la verdad, ¿dónde van las notas puras? Cuéntale a mi corazón, cuéntale a mi corazón, ¿dónde va lo que más se añora? Guarde la libertad, háblame con la verdad, ¿dónde están los rosales, las moras? Cuéntale a mi corazón, cuéntale a mi corazón, ¿dónde va lo que más se añora?
Arco de las uvas, desde la distancia, tu dulzor me llama y en sueños regreso, y mi mano alcanza e iba más alto y siento en la brisa de la vida del sur.
Dime, barra de la libertad, háblame con la verdad, ¿dónde están los rosales y las moras? Cuéntale a mi corazón, cuéntale a mi corazón, ¿dónde va lo que más se añora? Barra de la libertad, háblame con la verdad, ¿dónde están los rosales y las moras? Cuéntale a mi corazón, cuéntale a mi corazón, ¿dónde va lo que más se añora? Barra de la libertad, háblame con la verdad, ¿dónde están los rosales y las moras? Cuéntale a mi corazón, cuéntale a mi corazón, ¿dónde va lo que más se añora? La 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 la
Thank you so much. Gracias, Fish. Thank you.
Share that beautiful song. Gracias, gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What you should know is, in working with this project, I had to record what's called the blueprint, which is your ideas and the song as it is. I have to record this blueprint and then take it to the studio so the musicians can record it. We have 21 musicians, mostly from the west side of San Antonio, in this record. And so one morning, I woke up and I said, this song is for Tish voice. And I wrote to Tish, and she said yes. And ever since then, I don't want to sing it because it's Tish's song in her voice. I probably need help getting this monitor over here. If somebody can help on that, that would be great. And maybe a little bit of effect on the voice. This next song is called Linda Mocana. Maybe less echo. Linda Mocana is based on this CD that I did based on my mother's story. I come from the west side of Puerto Rico. So, Linda Mocana is a description of when they used to take, cross the rivers and do serenatas, serenades. This song in particular is significant because I wrote it using some of the descriptions from my mother, some of a beautiful poem that my brother, who's passed away, wrote about that story of my grandparents meeting and getting together, and based on a letter that my grandfather wrote to my grandmother back in the 1920s. So it's called Linda Mocana, and Mocana is a woman from Moca, which is the little town that I grew up. Voy siguiendo el murmullo del claro río, voy siguiendo a la luna que luce manda, voy pidiéndole al cielo que no se olvide de recibir mis versos en su ventana, linda bocana, con violín de perlas entrelazado. Viene mariposeando mi pobre alma, a pasarme venido encantadora, añorando avivar del amor la flama. Si me dice que sí con un suspiro, tocaré las estrellas más cercanas. Y si quieres saber cuánto la admiro, una sola vida tengo y por luz se la daría, linda mocana, pasar el resto de mi vida amándome con sentimientos sin medida, amándole hasta que el tiempo lo decida, amándole. La más bella historia sería la gloria de alcanzar su amor. En mi mente la efigie de su nombre, con las doradas redes que me atrapan. Mi corazón le entrego y no se asombre, una sola vida tengo y por usted la daría, linda bocana, pasar el resto de mi vida amándole con sentimientos sin medida, amándole hasta que el tiempo lo decida, amándole. La más bella historia sería la gloria de alcanzar su amor. Voy siguiendo el murmullo del claro río, voy siguiendo a la luna que luz amada, voy pidiéndole al cielo que no se olvide de recibir mis versos, linda mocana, linda Thank you. This song is called Amor Renuncio. I resign from your love. This, since nowadays it's just a full disclosure, right? It's like everybody knows everything because everybody posts it on Facebook, right? Breakups, weddings, more breakups, more weddings. So this song is it says, you thought that I would die without you, and that I would never leave you, but I'm here to tell you about a subject matter. Everybody knows about how terrible you are, and the last drop filled my cup, and I want the whole world to know. So, in all the social forums and all the local news, and all the virtual forums, I'm going to put this announcement. You are a liar, a heartbreaker, you destroy illusions and dreams, and I resign from your love. Okay? That's basically the basic idea, and it repeats itself in the second verse. The only thing in the second verse is that it's an intermittent light, like a flashing light. A tu amor renuncio. This is also part of a project the next project that I'm going to do with Lebanese singer May Nasser. And it's very important at these times of Islamophobia and the fear of Arab people that we collaborate across the sea. So this will be in the next CD. We already have one together, but she does the Arabic part, and it's quite traumatic. Tú pensaste que nunca me iría y que sin tu amor me moriría. He venido porque yo quería hablarte de un asunto, de la fama de tus malos pasos. Todavía no se ha cerrado el caso y la copa de formó mi vaso y que se entere el mundo, porque en todas las redes sociales y el canal de noticias locales y en todos los foros virtuales yo pondré este anuncio. Mentirosos y rompecorazones, matadores de sueños, ilusiones, a tu amor renuncio. Mentirosos y rompecorazones, matadores de sueños, ilusiones, que yo a tu amor renuncio. Que yo a tu amor renuncio. Y después de hacerme tanto daño, soportando tantos desengaños, entérate que ya no extraño y no estemos juntos. Porque fuiste perdida, destreza, me causó dolores de cabeza y he venido para con certeza de que ya ni punto más. Porque todas las redes sociales y el canal de noticias locales y en todos los foros virtuales yo pondré este anuncio con una luz intermitente para que se entere toda la gente que a tu amor renuncio. Con una luz intermitente para que se entere toda la gente y que yo a tu amor renuncio. Que yo a tu amor renuncio. Mucho cuidado. Y después de hacerme tanto daño, soportando tantos desengaños, entérate que ya no extraño que no estemos juntos. Porque fuiste perdonada, destrozado, me causó dolores de cabeza y he venido para con certeza reiterar mi punto, ajá. Porque todas las redes sociales y el canal de noticias locales y en todos los foros virtuales yo pondré este anuncio con neón y luz intermitente para que se entere toda la gente que a tu amor renuncio. Que yo a tu amor renuncio. Y que yo a tu amor renuncio. Tú pensaste que no moría, yo te juro por la madre mía que a tu amor renuncio. Tú pensaste que no moría, yo te juro por la madre mía que yo a tu amor renuncio. Que yo a tu amor renuncio. Y que yo a tu amor renuncio. Does it sound familiar? Just want to tell you that has nothing to do with my personal life. I'm happily married to Annette for 27 years. And this song is for her. It's called Vestigios. One day she said, "You write songs?" I sang her a song. And I said, "Yes." She said, "You need to write more. So in fact, you stay in that room until you come up with something. And let's do this." So I wrote this song, Vestigios. It says, "I promise you there's love. I swear to you there's love. In this dry heart of mine, I have a place for two vestiges that the pain on its way forgot to destroy. And as a proof, I have an I love you that filters through to tears that have become crystal. And I have as proof my arms that await you and a song that I will sing for you. And I have saved for you a morning star, a rain shower from June to wash the sadness of your walk and to erase the sadness of your walk. I promise you there's love. I swear to you there's love in this dry heart of mine. I have a place." Vestigios. Te digo que el amor, yo te prometo que hay amor. En este seco corazón tengo un lugar, un sitio para dos, vestigios del dolor. En su camino se olvidó de destrozar. Y tengo como prueba un te quiero que se cuela entre dos lágrimas que se han vuelto cristal. Y tengo como prueba dos brazos que te esperan y una canción que en un sillón te de cantar. Y te guardé un lucero de junio, un aguacero para que bañe la tristeza de tu andar. Y te guardé un lucero de junio, un aguacero para borrar la tristeza de tu andar. Te juro que hay mi amor, yo te prometo que hay amor. En este seco corazón tengo un lugar, un sitio para dos vestigios del dolor. En su camino se olvidó de destrozar. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Hello. How you doing? Round of applause. Before I introduce myself, please give a round of applause to Tish and Lucas, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God. Thank you, ladies, for putting me in my feelings right now. My name is Shelly Ross, and I'm right here from San Antonio, Texas. And do we have any Tejano music fans here today? Because this is where it gets loud. But I want to say a big thank you first and foremost to Phyllis and everybody, and of course, I have to brag before I do anything else because I have a cousin of mine who is a professor here, and I'm very proud of Danny Delgado, and I love you very much. Thank you for having me. So y'all better be nice. If you have this class, you better be nice. You don't want to show a little Mexican cousin from the west side coming after you, okay? So, hats off to the girls. I mean, I worked with Tish before, amazing. Luke, it's my first time hearing your beautiful voice. You're captivating, you hypnotized me back there, seriously. Thanks a lot for that. So now you hypnotize me, so I'm gonna get you dancing. That's what we're gonna exchange, okay? So I'm gonna do a few songs, but I'm gonna do something for you. I originally recorded this song probably when I was about 14 years old. It was with a band that I was with, a local band. And the original way that they arranged it was like a waltz, kind of a waltz, brass and stuff. And I kept hearing it more like a polka with accordion and stuff. But at the time, I was a 14-year-old girl trying to tell these men how to arrange their song, right? So later on, when 1994 came around and I was producing my records by that time, I thought about this song. I was like, hey, I want to add some accordion to this song and make it very Tejano. So it's something back from 1994, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It's called What Sets in an Estima. You can dance if you want, okay? Don't be shy, okay? Somebody can teach me anyways. Here we go. for me to do this. I thoroughly enjoy doing panels because I've done them before for women in Tejano music, women just Latinas, and it's a very huge honor to even be asked to do something like this because, you know, we have so many talented female artists in my genre of Tejano music, and more of them are coming up, thankfully, because for so long, everybody would ever talk about is hearing Selena, Elida, Stephanie, Shelly Goddess. So now we're having a lot of new females come up in the industry. So, but timing for me because I will be celebrating 35 years in Tejano music, October the 16th that I'm doing this. So, I was talking to Lucas and I was telling her that when I was a little girl, my daddy used to tell me before, when I first started my career at age 10 professionally, he used to say, okay, Mija, you need to remember something. It's not going to be, people are not going to remember Shelly Goddess if you have a hit song. They're going to remember you by the longevity and the stamina that you have in the industry, and that's what they're going to remember. So we work for our name more than we work for a hit song or, you know, that Grammy or anything. It's a huge accomplishment for us to be recognized that way, but I have worked for my name, for Shelly Goddess, for 35 years, and I love it, and I continue to do it. So I'm going to do this one, and it's a cumbia. We have people that like to dance cumbia. I think she likes to dance cumbia. So you can dance in your chair, it's okay. I know we're in school, because and Tish and I went to Providence High School, so, you know, we're pro-vets. And we had to be proper, especially when we're in an assembly. So, but our assemblies are a little bit different at Tejano music, okay? So you can dance if you want to. So we're going to continue this one. This is a little cumbia called Después de que te vas. So we hope you guys like it, okay? Come on. You can clap along with me if you want to. That's okay. There you go. How many guests are here tonight? Thank you so much. Are y'all enjoying it so far? Ladies and gentlemen? You know, we're here talking about empowering women and how we can be influential for women everywhere. There's so many ways that you can communicate with people, and music is so universal. You'd be surprised with how many people you can reach to the music. And but my foundation growing up was extremely strong. My parents would have been married 59 years this past September. Excuse me, I lost my dad 2 years ago, but my parents had always instilled in my sisters and my brother and myself, you know, for us to follow our dreams and to do things in a positive way and not to let anything deter us from what we wanted to do. So, I mean, when I think of a very strong woman, of course, I have to think of my mom because she's my rock. Can you give my mom a round of applause? Stand up, Mama. Y'all might not see her, even though she's saying. She's shut up at the festival. My mom is my road manager. She's been my road manager since '99 when my dad got sick and got off the road. So you see a little short Mexican lady coming in like that, nobody messes with my mama, trust me. None of the promoters want any of that right there, because they're going to get the wrath of the West Side. That's for the West Side. We know the West Side, right? We know. But this song is, this is going to be my last song, and it's a song off my new CD that will be coming out in November. I've been working on this project for over 2 years now. I started it before I lost my dad. And I had no creative juices going through my body after that for a little while. I had to give myself some time. And then, I don't know what happened. One day I woke up and I was feeling really good about writing and arranging. And I heard the song, my phone, I was going through some songs, and I was like, wow, this song just is so, I mean, just something about it. And of course, I did it in cumbia, a little bit more romantic, and I sang it and arranged it the way that I interpreted it. But it's a song about a breakup, of course, like we've all experienced. But my perspective of the song is I'm pretty upset that I invested so much and got nothing in return. So I kind of want my heart back is what I'm trying to say. But you can interpret music differently. You know, it can be sad and wow, call it ambulance. But, you know, this one is different for me. It's going to be off my new CD that will be coming out. This song is called De Vuelveme Mi Corazón. Stephanie and Gloria, thank you for being here, for my girlfriend for being my DJ tonight. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. And of course, thank you so much for listening and everybody for having us here. It's been a pleasure for us to be here tonight. I don't know if we're going to be able to fit all our careers in about 30 minutes, but we'll try to do that. I don't think there's a clip notes for music industry, right? But we're going to bring up Amaya. She's going to be coming up here for you guys to entertain y'all. So y'all give her a round of applause. I think they're going to set up real quick, so give them just a little bit, right?
It's going to take us a second to set up. I know I'm not with these. I got to say, I used to be in the early 1990s. I was at the Hammer DJ. And so to share the stage with Sherry, that was my name is Amaya Peace. I'm from
the Rio Grande Valley, a small town called La Feria. But I've lived in San Antonio probably about as many years as I lived in the valley now. So it's my second home. Don't make me chunks. So you think. So give me a second. So this first song is for the Rio Grande Valley. I wrote it while all the songs you're going to hear tonight are from a musical called Canción Cannibal Cabaret, and it was actually my master's thesis. This was the first song in the entire play that I wrote, and came out of the experience after living away through college many years as an adult, away from the valley and moving back, seeing the conflict between these nostalgic memories of the valley and the reality of what it is, and maybe the political reality that I never contended with when I was a child. aka the Canción Campbell, who was the leader of the Morenista resistance. So in a future where device learning is reserved for the elect, Las Hijas de la Madre roam the foobar known as land, and they are griots of the future, educating through poetry propaganda. So the show is a LGBTQ POC feminist call to action. And in the style of Ras Guachismo, La Madre Valiente repurposes the old folk songs into new knowledges and roams the wasteland, teaching them to other women. Remember is strange fruit, with thanks to Abel Miracle and Toni Morrison. Strange fruit, not hanging, but withering in crowded trucks. Loss is expected in the transport, drivers still get paid big bucks. Brown bodies, praying for the pardon of our southern breeze. The South still brings a strange fruit, just not entwined in trees. If the fruit survives delivery, it can then be bought and sold. Market prices double if fruit is ripe and not too old. Dry and rotting in the desert, trampled, falling off of trains. Bondage continues in this manner, though with chains. Growers and tractors supply consumer demanded yields. There's a fortune to be gained with strange fruit, fertilizing fields, remembering of blood on leaves, remembering of blood and root. The profits from this bitter crop outweigh our losses of our strange fruit. Hey, I'm a bougie, no law without me. Homeland security must have me. Now watching, friend number one, second, no one, checkpoint, I'm me. No law without me. So the play, La Madre Valiente, organizes the Morenista resistance. In between these songs, there's talking and stuff, right? We're skipping that. So after she loses her 3 sons, she decides to start this female revolution. She loses one to war. She loses one to the bone-eating epidemic. He works in the fields, and he gets what we suspect is cancer from pesticides. And then her 3rd child, who is her darkest child, is shot when he's coming home from the market, trying to trade for a treat, and La Madre Valiente is just hanging out. So this is after Jim Carroll wrote a poem, People Who Died. And that was actually a poem after Tom Merrigan, who was his mentor. So this is after both of those black men. It's a bit of a rat snake. Alonzo Ashley was tased, the dead was due. Wendell Allen had weed, but he was unarmed too. LA cops and Elsa Joaquin Muerte, and Eddie Medallions, yeah, all the events. And then on basses, my husband, Dr. Ken Hinton. We did a very feminine show. True equality is not possible without allies. Creen que porque somos mujeres somos débiles y puede ser que sí solo hasta cierto punto. Ya no podemos callar estos actos que nos llenan de rabia. Por eso yo soy instrumento que vengará. Diana, Huntress of Bus Drivers. I eat the cries of the dead. I am a hunter, a huntress of men. Some people think me a monster. For all these fantasies of vengeance I foster, I am Diana the huntress. You don't know my name. We are Diana the huntress. I wear the moon on my head. I am a hunter, a huntress of men. Born in the barrio, in a mass grave, threatening those holding chains to enslave. I am Diana the huntress. You will know my name. We are Diana the huntress. Hello from the gutters of Juarez. Hello from the sons of Mumbai. Hello from the malls of Thailand. Hello from shopping LA. You will know my name. You will know my name. Hello, Malala assassin. Hello, Boca Boca. Hello, democracy riot. Hello, from Madura Brigade. You will know my name. You will know my name. My heart's a free and fed. I am a hunter, a huntress of men. My wild has broken loose. Those riders crunching bones beneath their boots. I am Diana the huntress. You will know my name. We are Diana the huntress. Join me, all you who have fled. Become a hunter, a huntress of men. Fight corruption, protect the powerless. Let win no recourse, unleash your huntress. You are Diana the huntress. You know my name. Become Diana the huntress. Hello from the mountains of Yemen. Hello, radical monarch. Hello, my army sister. Hello, hija de violencia, they will know your name. They will know your name. Hello, Bulgarian cyclone. Hello, Jenny Ibrahim. Hello, Shafiani sister. Hello, to my red brigade. They will know our name. They will know my name. They will know your name. They will know my name. Justice frozen in our crosshairs. Well, I chose book for this it's my second book in the show, which is traditionally a white male genre, and so it's my way of, through Raspachismo, giving myself permission to be as loud as white men are traditionally allowed to be. So this October 20th is here in San Antonio, the Black and Brown Punk Fest, presented by Chingonas in the Pit. If you ever see anything on social media, Chingonas in the Pit is LGBTQ POC friendly. That means that no one's gonna like grab you inappropriately in the pit. So Saturday, October 20th, we're playing Fayette's headlining. More information talking in the hall. All the other awesome women who were on stage tonight, Shelley Lattice, Lourdes Perez and Tish Hermosa, we have Voices of Angels, and we are here too, so the score, so one day have Voices of Angels. Anyway, so this is for, of course, the women. In the event that you're not able to run, nose, ears, eyes, throat, temple, nose, ears, eyes, throat, temple, nose, ears, eyes, throat, temple. Nose, ears, eyes, throat, temple, nose, ears, eyes, throat, temple, nose, ears, eyes, throat, temple. Little strides, little strides, little
La Madre Valiente wants you.
One more round of applause for our performance. So before everybody got here and we were doing the sound check, so before everything started, Tish made this comment that if we're gonna have a real conversation about what it's like being a Latina in the music industry, that we would need a quart of bourbon, a box of cigars, in about 5 hours. unfortunately, we don't have any of that. So we're going to do the best that we can in the time that we have left.
Thank you to our roadies. That one's lighter complected than we're used to, but. Tish and I can share this.
Seeing as I'm the elder at the table. So are we going to, with among ourselves, or are you going to be part of it, Phyllis? So we're just each going to... I'm Tish Hinojosa, and I'm from San Antonio, and my take on music business was interesting, has been interesting. My early experiences, I left San Antonio in 1979. I was in my early 20s, and I was singing on the Riverwalk those years right after high school. And I was afraid if I didn't get out of town soon, I'd become a lounge singer. So I went off, of all places, I pursued running off to the mountains of northern New Mexico. Why I did that, I'm not sure. Why I didn't go to LA or New York, I don't know. But anyway, life takes us through weird courses, and those New Mexico years ended up being super important because that's when I began writing and learned to play country music. I signed on with Michael Martin Murphy as his backup singer, and I learned a lot from him. So there were people helping me along the way on getting my career. He introduced me to people in Nashville, and from there I kind of started a little bit of a career in Nashville. But it was never enough, and in Nashville was not quite enough. It was 10 years of knocking on doors, and every label turning me down. I wasn't sure if it was my name or because I was a girl. They actually literally did say, we've signed enough girls this year. So that was always the excuse. But it was very frustrating and disheartening. But I ended up moving to Austin around that time, late 80s, and everything changed once I got to Austin. I got signed by a major label. By then I was writing a lot, and I was signed as a songwriter, not just a singer. So it was, it was a good thing that I had to find other facets. I guess we learned that up here. You know, I had no intentions of being a songwriter. I just wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be the next Baez or the next Ronstadt. And I had no idea I had songwriting in me until the road got rough, and I realized that I had to do more. I couldn't just be a singer. There had to be more to what I did. And songwriting was, I think, one of the things that really changed my life, because I began writing about things that I cared about. And those were the things that actually got the interest of the label that I did sign with at that time. So, I had my hard knocks and learned a lot of, made mistakes along the way, but, ultimately, like Shelley was saying earlier, when I was in my early 20s, the dream was, the superstardom and Grammys and all that stuff. But as Shelley mentioned, that her father's wise words were that, it's important to build your name and do what's right for your career. Because the one-hit wonder they're not going to remember. But I've been so fortunate to have a very good career for many decades now, 40 years or so. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I will pass the microphone on to. Shall we go in the order? Let's go in the order of how we perform. So I'm going to pass this over to Liz. There you go.
Thank you so much. First of all of you blew me away, and I want to thank you for, yes, you did. Yes, thank you so much. It's just such a gift and such a warmth and so much that we take away from here to continue, because part of having the stamina and the power of staying is also being fed by the experiences of other women who have gone through similar or different experiences. So that's what I take from here tonight. I could I could say a lot of things, but I could resume a couple of things from the 90s when I started to sing professionally, and at that time, it's a lot of people giving you advice as to how to do your career so that you can succeed. So, get a haircut. Don't say you're a lesbian. Sing in English. Stop wearing men's shoes. Sing in a different register, because the female register is not that low. So, this is all true things that I've been told through the years. And at some point, you have to return to that internal compass. And I think that part of the foundation that I was given, not just in terms of poetry and music, but in terms of how to carry yourself in the world, was to have a little bit of that internal voice that tells you, no, success is going to be what it feels to me, what I define it to be. Being a singer and a songwriter is also being a witness and a traveler and a reporter and somebody who is able to speak of things that others can't or won't. So I found myself, we have crafted this career, Annette and I, through the years. And we are thinking, well, if we remain independent, we may be able to say more of what we want to say. But you have to be happy with how you define success, which is what Tish is talking about. Success is what is going to give you something to continue. It is the standards that you apply to yourself, the discipline that you apply to yourself, the practice, the saying no to some gigs that seem lucrative or good, but really politically is not something that you can go that road. So you always are faced with so many doors that you should or can or may go through, and then you have to decide what is going to be your door, what is going to be what you can do. To me, the standards are, I need to survive, I need to say what I need to say, I need to be who I am in this process, and I'm not critical of other options that other artists make in their careers. I'm just talking about what works for me. I also have found that when you sing and you write, you also open up to very vulnerable, emotional aspects of yourself. You have to be open. And so you also have to do that, but safeguard against the world, because it's very cruel out there. And so I can talk more, but I'll stop and I'll go around, because it's a lot, so I don't want to take all the time from my beautiful sisters.
Well, really quick, kind of want to tell you guys how I got into Tejano music. I never really knew much about it, only when I would hear about it during, when I was a little girl, it was at quinceañeras or weddings or anything like that. I grew up in a very musical family. My parents, my sisters, and my brother are all musically inclined. I have people who are musically inclined on my mom's side and my dad's side as well. So I remember growing up in a household where music was all the time, from Linda Ronstadt to the Commodores to, we were listening to, there's some Mexican music. It was just, it was very diverse, so I was very intrigued by the diversity of music, period. I never studied music, never studied voice. My brother was a very good musician. He played guitar, drums, piano. And my two older siblings, he did not let them touch his instruments at all. But I was the baby, so I was a spoiled one. And I don't know, I guess he saw something in me and he would let me pick up the guitar and he would kind of show me things and I would carry my tape recorder around to all the family functions and they were going to hear me sing whether they wanted to or not. And my sister got married in '82 and they hired a Tejano band called the Hot Tamales Band in San Antonio. They were an orchestra. So my sister thought it would be nice to have me do a song, and I'm an Olivia Newton-John fanatic, will be till the day that I die. Maybe y'all don't even know who Olivia Newton-John is, but if I mention the movie Grease, you will know who Olivia Newton-John is. So I grew up listening to her, and I did an Olivia Newton-John song with the Tejano band called Hot Tamales. That's diversity right there. So I remember walking into the practice room when I was a 10-year-old little girl, and I started to sing, and I remember their faces. They kind of looked at each other, and later on, I'm not sure if it was that night or that week, the manager called my dad and asked if I could go perform that same song at another wedding before my sister's. So it was on the south side of San Antonio at the Royal Palace, and my mom made my dress that I was going to wear for the wedding, and I went up there and I started the Olivia Newton-John song, and I remember everybody just rushing to the stage. And I finished and they were cheering and they lifted me up and I was like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I just always knew as a little girl that music was going to be it. So they introduced me to Tejano music and I introduced them to Michael Jackson, Madonna, country, all that stuff. So it kind of worked out. I recorded my first record at age 10 and a half. They were 45s. Some of y'all were not even born yet, but they were 45 records. I did 5 of those before I signed my first record deal at age 17, but I remember telling my dad that I didn't want to stay in San Antonio like Tish talked about, just staying local. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to go out, I wanted to sing for everybody because I feel that, like I was talking about earlier, music is so universal. It doesn't matter. One thing that we all have in common in this world is music. We can all like different types of music, but we all love music, and it can be so powerful in a positive way. So I've utilized it for 35 years. I've had people approach me on the other side of the United States telling me that my music got them through a divorce or through a loss of a loved one because they were a fan of mine, or, oh, we got married to this song. The list goes on. And you never realize that when you're recording or writing a song or writing something, you never realize that you're really reaching out to someone else. So for me, in the Tejano industry, there were only 5 females when I started. There was Laura Canales, Jamie C. Ramirez, Elsa Garcia, Patsy Torres, and Selena. So I came in, Selena and I were both the same age. She was only 7 months older than me. So we were really young as to the other women that were already going. So we have really come up a lot of obstacles. And it doesn't matter what we're doing, a genre, poets, whatever, we're still women and people still try to put those obstacles up for us because either they feel we're not as good or good enough to do it. But those of you that are out there, it doesn't matter if you're an aspiring musician, poet, lawyer, professor, whatever it is. You just gotta, like Lucas was saying, you gotta remain true to who you are and the message that you would like to come across in a positive way. Because we are all I wish we would all help each other. You know, could you imagine how wonderful the world would be if we would just lift each other up? And sad to say, the music industry is a cutthroat business, and only the strong survive in this industry. But I think it's pretty much like that in anything you do. You know, I admire my aunt so much because she went from nothing to running banks. I mean, she was ahead. So that was always been, I've always had strong women in front of me that they may not understand or realize that they've influenced me as well. So my saying that I live by, and I mean that through my life and I mean it through my music, is I'm more focused on living my legacy than leaving my legacy. So that's my life's motto. That's what I live by every day. And I just thank you guys for having us. And like Lucas was saying, we could be here all night. There's so much going on here, but I would like to turn it over to Amanda so she can share it with you. And her energy, right? I mean, I was tired after that. I was like...
I guess I came to performing music through performing poetry first, and it's funny because I came to writing poetry through acting first. I got wow, yeah, that's live. A BA in theater from Incarnate Word here, and then was working at the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center in the theater for many years, and that really was my introduction to Latino theater, Latino performing arts. I saw so many great performers in their Conjunto Fest, their dance company. This was like in 1994 through 2000, about that time. Saw so many like live theater, and knew I wanted to perform. And both Jorge Pina, who was a theater director there, and other solo artists told me, you need to write your own stories. So I began writing first what were somewhat like monologues for a local Puro Slam, Poetry Slam, and that was 1999, around that time when they started the slam. I was one of the very few women actively performing. It was very difficult because if you ever go to the venue, they're known for their heckling, and I think they're especially cruel to women, and I was one of the few women doing it, but it gave me really thick skin. It's like now, like, as punk, there's no way you can yell anything at me from the audience that I'm not ready to yell something back. But definitely seasoned me as a performer, and there were times when I started to work in songs. Flash forward to my first musical is an adaptation of Carmen, the opera. It's called Carmen de la Calle, which I performed around San Antonio many times, and in Dallas at their cultural Dallas, I think it's Hispanic Cultural Center there in Dallas. So this latest musical, as I think I mentioned, that it began as my master's, and the same thing with the first musical, where I wrote the opening poem, which I thought was a poem, and oh my gosh, it's a song. Okay, this is going to be a musical. So I'd written other plays before, where the first scene, people talking to each other, like, okay, that's a play. Carmen de la Calle, the opening song, that play is not punk. It has hip-hop. The opening song was hip-hop with all these characters talking to each other. And this was around the same time as In the Heights, definitely before Hamilton, and before I even heard In the Heights. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm writing a hip-hop musical. And also, I was very San Antonio, set in 1990, so it was that kind of hip-hop, not now hip-hop. Reference like Debbie Deb and LL Cool J, and then also had Cumbia. Reference Selena, of course, and reference Cruising Military Drive in 1990. If you're that old, you did that. So the same thing with this play. When I was working on my master's, going to these poetry classes, where we were very polite, and if you read my first book, a lot of it is political, and I was writing political poetry in the classroom, hearing people say political poetry is passé, and that's a very 1960s Chicano thing, to be writing political poetry. And I'm like, well, no, because these are still issues that are affecting my life right now. So this was like pre-Trump, and I was saying, no, I feel like there will always be a need for political poetry. That's how you galvanize people. There will always be a need for sad songs, love songs. There will always be a need for human connection, and specifically with political poetry, I'm expressing my feelings of frustration of those things that I feel powerless to change. And if I'm able to express that to one more person or a group, you're able to galvanize and then actually create and enact change. And so that was like my argument in the classroom. And so then, people were very, they write these nice poems and then like golf claps. And people would say, you rely so much on performance. And so then it was kind of my knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, you haven't seen performance yet. And I decided that my entire master's was going to be over the top, screaming loud. I don't think I had maybe written some punk at that point. It's gravitated towards punk because I felt like that's how you become the loudest voice in the room. But it was because the issues that I was struggling with at the time, I felt like they needed to be screamed. So that's how I came to this show. As for, I think people talk about success. People have all kinds of different definitions of success. For me, it has always been just to viscerally express these issues that are in my mind, but then also to connect with my community. There are people who will be turned off. I teach high school students, and I tell them, not everybody will like what you have to say, but that's how you need to say it, and that's how you find out who your people are. And maybe some people out there, they don't know they have people, and that's how we connect, and then we galvanize to come together and say, hey, we are alike, and now we can have this interchange of ideas and thoughts. And so I'm always encouraging my students to take risks, because without risks, you will not create great art.
So we're just a few minutes past, but I'm hoping that we have time for maybe a couple of questions. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask one of our distinguished panelists a question?
Don't ask for money.
Not money, though?
Thank you, Danny. Okay. So, hi, thank you so much for, for coming out to A&M San Antonio. Shelly, I'm actually Danny's colleague in the sociology department. But actually, I had a question for you, actually. Whenever we found out that you were going to be able to make it to campus, I started listening to all the greats. You mentioned listening to Elsa Garcia, Selena, and I came across some old shows with Johnny Canales and some old videos of Selena, and I had absolutely no clue that you and Selena were best friends. And I know you mentioned that y'all were around the same age, so I was wondering if you could speak to y'all's friendship in the sense that, obviously she was taken too soon, too young from us. If you could speak to maybe what you got from that friendship in terms of, how it's helped you in this industry, if you can.
Well, first of all, thank you for welcoming me and the ladies. It's our honor to be here. We met when we were 10 years old at the Market Square here. And it's so funny because I'm usually very private about my friendship with her because that's not what was important to me. A lot of people think, oh yeah, we're friends, and I'll start there because of the day that she was taken. I had spoken with her the week before that because I had planned on going to Corpus to see the new house she was having built. When we were, I was on my way to a gig in Huntsville, and when we heard, and I just lost it, so we turned right back. But by the time we got back, media was, asked my mom, swarming to get an interview with me, and I did not do one interview at all about her death. We met when we were 10, and it was kind of cool because we'd heard each other's name, and we kind of were real curious to meet each other because we were both kids. And she always towered over me, though. She was always taller, and we would always tease each other because she always looked older than me because she wore more makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear all that makeup, but and we met at Market, and we just instantly clicked. We had so much in common, not music. We just had the way we were raised, because we come from very dominant fathers, very old school. You don't ask questions, you just do what you're told, and that's it, So we related that way tremendously. And then, mind you, she had like 4 years ahead of me in the industry, because she started homeschooling pretty early on, and my parents wanted me to finish my education before I went full-time on the road. So, people knew Selena more than Shelly Lattes. It wasn't until I started gaining popularity in the late 80s, early 90s that people started kind of trying to put us against each other. That the Tejano Music Awards was notorious for doing that. They they were always upset for me because I never won. I was nominated for so many years. Since 1983, I didn't win a Tejano Music Award. From 1983, I didn't win until 1998. And she was gone already, like years before I was even recognized. But, we would joke about that a lot because we were like, oh, they're putting this up. And we never talked about music, but she influenced me a lot as a person. Everything you see and read about her is true as far as her personality. She had a beautiful soul. She did not like to see any bad in anybody. Obviously, that's what took her. But she was very influential, and she thought I should go country, because she loved my country music. Like, I would sing country in my shows, I still do. And she's like, Shell, you need to do country, puppy. You need to do country because, you got a great country voice. But we were like two typical teenage girls. I mean, we'd go shopping. We would just, like your best friend, it does. But I will share this story with you because I never let her live it down. My parents would allow me to go to her house every spring break when I was in school. And I would get to, be with her and hang out and go to the beach and whatever. And I gotten sick, and I was really sick with the flu, and I was not feeling good, and she's like, I'm taking you to the doctor. And I was like, okay, well, let's go. So we go to the doctor, and we're sitting in the doctor's office, and the doctor's gonna see me, and the doctor walks in, and he looks at her, and he goes, are you her mother? And she's like, no, I'm her best friend. We're the same age. We joked about it for years because it was so funny. Because I told you, she didn't mean to look older, but she just looked older than me. And we just laughed about it. But the moment that I knew that was going to always be somebody that was special in my life is that very day. She took me to her house, got me comfortable, went and paid for my medications, and I see her walking in, and she had made me some chicken soup. And that was the Selena I saw that a lot of people will never have or have ever seen of her. So that's the side that I saw. But musically, there will never be another, ever, 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 ever. She's just bigger than life. And I don't mean from her music, I'm talking about as a human being. Her music is great, it will always be, but I'm talking about bigger than life human being. If we had more Selenas around the world, it would have been amazing. But yeah, I'm usually very private about it. And not because I'm ashamed of it, but because it's very personal to me. But thank you for asking.
Thank you for sharing.
Hi. My question is, does anyone have any advice or insight about songwriting and beginning to start that process?
I think it's, I mentioned that I spent yesterday at an elementary school with a bunch of kids, and we talked about songwriting, and I think it's not the magic. I mean, there is magic that goes into songwriting when something comes out and you go, wow, where did that come from? But the process is it's a muscle, and you have to just keep doing it. Is what I say to people, and even little kids. we wrote a really silly little song with the kindergartners, but they had no idea that they could write a song. They were having so much fun with it. I said, just give me a rhyme. So he wanted to, somebody said, give me an idea. I says, heaven. So I said, okay, let's write about heaven. And, we just wrote a 2 little verse, silly thing, but they were just all amazed that that's how songwriting works, But yeah, the thing is just once you start doing it, it really feeds on itself. And it's a wonderful exercise. And sometimes you get great things. And sometimes you're just, just the exercise is good. But a lot of times it's, you'll surprise yourself with it. So yeah, if you're interested in songwriting, just give it a try. Think of a melody, think of an idea of what the melody goes with, and it comes together. And if anything, you have really just interesting ideas in notebooks. So anybody else?
We have one of the things we've done through the years is we have this workshop that we call Compose Yourself, and we've gone through from like pre-K to 95-year-old people learning how to write a song. It's a whole program, it's a day program, but you do it, and first you write a collective song, and then you write an individual song, and then you keep at that craft. Like Tish said, you keep writing and seeing. I think one of the things in terms of when you write a song that you want to record, then you're getting to more like how you envision that to come through. And sometimes the way with me is like I always think that words are kind of in the air, and sometimes I kind of even like find myself, I don't know if you do this, but I find myself going like this. And I'm like, why am I going like this, right? So when I was little, I remember seeing one of the decimista men that used to sing and improvise verses, and he used to improvise. And sometimes he will have this thing when he's about to improvise, and he's like as if he's taking things from the air. So sometimes you get that. But the other thing about songwriting, and I think writing in general, is because you open up emotionally, you have to be careful as to who you ask to see your work, who you allow into that space. To me, is very important, because somebody can go, well, that's not a poem. And so that's very dangerous and damaging, and people have been damaged for life. So you have to make sure that whoever you're being mentored by or working with is somebody that has a sensibility that will nurture something and push you too. I'm not talking about, cushioning the punch. I'm just talking about somebody that could tell you the truth and you go, okay.
I taught middle school students this after-school program called Beats and Rhymes, where they would make digital beats and then write songs over them. And I would have some middle school students who are resistant, and they're like, I don't know what to write about, or you can't write a song about that. And so I really believe you can write a song about anything. I had a student I think he was being sarcastic and angry, and he was like, well, I'm going to write about a potato. And it ended up being like one of the better songs in the class. So, I really believe that a song could be about anything, but it is like with any kind of writing or poetry, it's just sticking at it every day, giving yourself assignments. I have students who are always waiting for, I have writer's block, when I really believe there's no such thing. You just give yourself an assignment. I told my students when they have homework, I'm like, the homework never stops, because you're going to graduate or go to college and finish, and then if you're an artist, you're going to always give yourself assignments to keep moving forward. So yeah, give yourself assignments and read lyrics. I do one workshop where I have all the students bring in, have to be clean. I tell them lyrics to their favorite song, and then we look at it as like a piece of literature. So I love like Leonard Cohen, like any published, if it's published in a book, lyrics, they're really good.
Yeah, writing for me, like, I used to just pick up my guitar and I would write from riffs. Like, I would write a riff and then whatever would come from there. I never really considered myself a lyricist per se. My mom actually wrote all the lyrics of my Spanish, my hit song, Soy tu amor, es que está enamorada de vos. My mom actually wrote the lyrics to those. I would just give her the, yeah. She is. I would give her the melody, you know, and to me it's hard to fit lyrics into different syllables of the melody, which was really difficult, but she did a great job. I write a lot of music. I arrange a lot of music now. I'm at a different part of my career where I would kind of do that, but I'm doing it more now. And the way, for me, it's kind of like a constant radio. I mean, if I hear a song that I'm working on, I hear the arrangement in extreme detail. I'm a detailed producer in the studio. I listen for every single beat, every single note, everything. And so I hear that in my mind, and it will play until I have it thrown on tracks. But the girls are right, and my dad used to be on me all the time. Mija, you need to keep writing. You need to keep writing. And he was right. You know, you have to keep doing it and keep doing it. But for like these ladies, I mean, to me, it's like second nature for them. You know, as I've watched them and learning from them, and I've known Tish for a long time. She's an amazing songwriter. So, but there's not a wrong song, you know, per se. It's just, it doesn't get technical until you're going to throw it down and you have to have the actual format of how you're going to record it. That's when it gets, but if it's just something you're being expressive about, then that's your song.
Well, thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you all for staying extra. If we could please give our distinguished panelists one more round of applause.
Thank you.